All right, hello, and thank you for joining our webinar today on improving customer experience with Omnichannel. We have a great panel here with us today with a variety of real-life experiences that they'll be sharing with all of us. We'll start off by giving some brief introductions of the panel, and then we'll jump into our top tips for Omnichannel success. We'll also do a product demo and Q&A section at the end. If you do have any questions throughout the presentation, you can submit them at any time through the Zoom panel, and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. We're also recording this presentation, and we'll be uploading it to our YouTube channel later today. We'll also be sending it out to all the attendees and registrants later today via email. Great, so to get started on some introductions, my name is Shelby Bozakowski. I'm the marketing manager at Bright Pattern, and I'm going to be moderating today's webinar. Our industry experts today include Emily Vince, Senior Product Marketing Manager of Zendesk, and Sergey Menchikov, Senior Vice President of Product Management at Bright Pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Emily. Do you want to go ahead and say hi and tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your experience?
Yes, thanks, Shelby. Really happy to be here. As you mentioned, I am on the product marketing team here at Zendesk, where we build software for better customer relationships, and I focus mostly on our omni-channel solutions. So I'm really looking forward to the discussion today.
Great, thanks, Emily. And Sergey, do you want to also say hello to the attendees?
Hi, it's great to be here. My name is Sergey Menchikov. I'm a product manager at Bright Pattern. My background is in call center, contact, and case management software. I'm with Bright Pattern since the beginning.
Great, thank you, Sergey. And we've also invited some of our customers to discuss real-life examples of success stories in their omni-channel contact centers. So we have Sean Rivers, Director of Operations Technology at Republic Wireless, as well as Roger Meter, co-founder of TrueSource Labs. And I'd like to do the same thing and kind of pass the mic over to you guys to say hello and let the audience know a little bit more about your contact center operations. So with that, we'll have Sean from Republic Wireless start.
Thank you. So Republic Wireless, we're a provider of consumer cellular services for value-minded members who, like us, believe that technology should enhance communications with others, like person to person. We're not so big on person to smartphone. We believe it's simple, affordable plans, and we like them to reflect our values, which are to spend time with people, not with our faces in a phone. But we believe in being different in how we provide support, and that is a big differentiator with us. We publish no phone number, we staff no call center, and all support at least begins online via the written word. So my team, the operations technology team, manages all of the tools and processes that make this model work. So we have less than 140 agents supporting hundreds of thousands of recurring mobile phone customers, and our average CSAT's well over 90%. And over 40% of all of our customer interactions actually happen customer to customer. So basically, most of our customers actually answer our own customers' issues. So we are firm believers that priority support, helping the neediest, is more important than first in, first out. So a lot of things I'll talk about today, we'll talk about that from that perspective.
Great, thanks, Sean. We're happy to have you. Roger, do you want to go ahead and give a brief intro on TrueSource Labs?
Yeah, TrueSource Labs is a third-party outsource provider, and we specialize in complex support models. So most of our clients are in the IoT space, as well as Apple in the enterprise space, and we support all the channels, whether written, social, chat, SMS, email, all the way across the board.
Awesome, thanks, Roger. Great, so now that we've introduced our panel, we're gonna go ahead and jump into our tips for improving customer experience with Omnichannel. And our first tip is to respond to customers on the channel of their choice or on the channel they initially reached out on. So this one can be hard just with the growing number of channels out there. It really seems like there's a new channel popping up every 3 months, and contact centers are struggling to understand what channels are necessary and how to implement them into their call center. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Emily just to explain some recent stats from Forrester on the ever-changing omni-channel strategy.
Thanks, Shelby. Yeah, I think that this graph really shows some of the challenges that companies face given changes in customer behavior and expectations. So these figures are from Forrester Research, a leading technology research firm, and they demonstrate how rapid digital transformation is driving change in customer experiences and expectations. So along the top there, you can see all the usual channels that customers might use to engage with customer service. So, the channel we all know and love, voice, and then also some of the emerging channels, FAQs for self-service, email, online chat, community forums, and social channels. So the gray bar, that is the percent of US adults that have used that channel to contact customer service back in 2009. And now the nice blue bar there shows the percent of US adults that have used that channel last year in 2017. So I think there are a couple things that are really interesting and worth noting here. The first is that, as you can see, although newer and digital channels like self-service and chat and social media are on the rise, voice is still the most popular channel for support. I know for myself, I'm very comfortable using self-service and online chat for help, but sometimes if I need something solved quickly and easily, there's nothing like connecting with a person over the phone. But I also think what's even more interesting is that as companies are expanding their digital footprints with websites and mobile apps, there are more ways to get in touch with companies. So the total volume of touch points a customer has with the company has increased. And so it's not like, customer touch points on chat or email are displacing other channels. And customers expect a seamless experience as they move from self-service experience to a phone call to a chat. So they expect companies to know who they are. They don't want to repeat their issues. They expect their interactions with companies to be similar to with how they might interact with friends or family in a way, to have that personal experience as they shift between channels.
Great. Thanks, Emily. That's a great explanation of kind of the omni-channel landscape right now. And with that, Sergey, I know our customers have some great use cases on responding to customers on the channel of their choice. Do you want to go ahead and explain some of those?
Yeah. Well, first of all, omnichannel is actually maintaining consistent experience across channels while staying in context. And Brightbutton Contact Center with Zendesk is a great combination to keep context across multiple channels. That said, Republic Wireless here is actually using a customer channel preference for voice to speed up resolution of specific tickets, thus focusing the effort. Sean, could you please elaborate?
Sure. We actually, while we don't have a call center, we actually, when we need to, when a resolution would be better served over the phone, we invite our members to a live call at any time at their convenience. We send them a code and they can actually call in and talk to us. So always responding on the challenges of responding on the channel of choice is a huge challenge for us. We're a regulated phone company, so it can get challenging talking about certain topics over social media, but we have all the social media, chat, email, web form. We have all these places that we talk to people and we drive them to tickets whenever possible. But when we need to get in a real-time conversation, one-on-one, we tend to invite our members to a live call, and that's been a real winner for us.
Thank you. Roger, I know TrueSource is offering omni-channel service to multiple clients, often from the same agent team. Could you share examples of services that TrueSource provides to your clients?
Yeah, that's correct. A lot of our clients, of course, are IoT based, which means they have a phone app and a website usually, and they can contact us through support, either SMS or chat or voice. And also those contacts can be, if it's a chat, can be escalated to voice if necessary. The agents themselves are supporting those multiple channels, so they may take a chat, then a voice call, then an SMS call, and the experience is very, very similar for the agents to be able to handle that. And when you're handling multiple clients on those multiple channels, having that experience be very, very similar, very consistent is important.
Thank you, Roger.
Great, guys, those were great use cases for that. Our second tip is to give agents instant access to all data. So as contact centers and new software and channels are added, a lot of times technology and data can become siloed in the contact center, which makes it hard for agents to find information easily. So Sergey, I'm going to pass it over to Sergey, and he's going to talk a little bit more about the importance of having technology that does provide agents with all relevant information.
Yeah, thank you, Shelby. Brightpattern Contact Center helps agents by running customer phone and their input by Zendesk data and retrieving necessary information to be presented as screen pops to agents. It's one of the ways we can bring data quickly. Moreover, in cases when agents work on multiple simultaneous chats or other interactions, we switch ticket tabs with channel switching so that we keep agents focused on what they were doing, and that's especially helpful when you have multiple chats. Just a couple of things that the combination of Zendesk and Brightpattern Contact Center does to help agents for instant data access. Sean, how Republic Wireless promotes agent access to customer data?
So since we drive all of our interactions to a ticket, because we have to memorialize our one-to-one private communications. This allows us to see when a user has engaged more than one channel at a time, so that we can cut down on duplicate tickets and inefficient work. There's a lot of inefficiencies when you have duplicates. So we find that without a phone number, we tend to get a lot of all ports in a storm communication and activity. So combining our channels, providing user account information, usage data helps us kind of stay focused, and everything kind of works its way back into a ticket, which really allows us to focus in and get one interaction with each of our customers. So it's really important to get this data in so that we don't get spread all over the place.
Thank you, Sean. Roger, and how do you do this in TrueSource?
Yeah, through the API, and we search customers as well as create tickets, and also within part of our environment, we have a shared client environment. So we're using Brightpattern with multiple instances of Zendesk, and through the API, we're able to be able to search customers through those multiple instances of Zendesk, as well as pop tickets and present information to the agent through those multiple instances, and it makes it much easier on the agent. Basically, when the customer calls through, regardless of channel, whether it's SMS, chat, or web, or what have you, the information is presented to the agent so they can move on to the complexity of the call.
Thank you, Roger.
Great. And our third tip piggybacks off of tip number 2. Once agents do have all the relevant data, it is important to personalize interactions in order to improve customer experience. Emily, what are your thoughts on this tip? Emily, I think you might be on mute if you're talking.
Thank you, Shelby. Yes. Well, we at Zendesk, our omnichannel solution really provides agents with a complete visibility into full customer journey and history with an organization. So in one platform, in one agent interface, you can see at a glance all tickets that you've received from a customer, whether it be via email or chat or phone or even text message. So that's all contained in one user profile. And you can also completely customize your Zendesk platform with custom apps to pull in additional information that may empower your agents to be more efficient. Not only is Zendesk designed to provide that really powerful agent workflow, but it's also flexible and customizable so that teams can provide the information that agents need to deliver efficient and personal interactions.
Great. Thank you, Emily. And what about you, Sergey?
Yeah, having access to data in Zendesk to identify the customer and then to get their data really helps. And there are a lot of examples that could be done, such as starting from greeting by name, listing their open tickets, to things like customer segmentation and prioritization, even before the interaction hits agent desktop. Sean, what Republic Wireless take on personalization? I know you're doing some cool things to focus on to lower churn.
So yeah, we look at personalized account information. So we look at the account information as a service provider, in order to be more proactive for our members. So we know that most people with issues kind of suffer in silence, and in most cases we don't know until the day they churn. So we use number transfer failures, activation failures, call and text failures, and any other service failures that we can find. We're constantly running experiments and proactively create tickets and create interactions. So instead of waiting for them to interact with us, we actually will create interactions, send them out emails, inviting them to call, text them, invite them to call. We've tried many different ways. And they can do this on their own schedule. In addition, we keep track of the user's technical acumen and their channel preference so that we can reply where and kind of how the member needs us to. So sometimes somebody who is lower technology, we need to be more reassuring. Somebody who is who just loves technology, we need to answer a lot more why questions. And then the person who just doesn't even think about technology, we just need to be, fast speed and accuracy. So the response is very different based on what we know about the member.
Thank you, Sean. And Roger, how TrueSource personalizes interactions?
Well, we have a number of clients who have different customer types, if you will, maybe VIPs, installers, beta customers, or friends of the CEO, or what have you. And those customers need to be routed differently within the contact center. So we look up information contained within Zendesk, in this case, the organization, and make routing decisions based on the information within. Now, that could change the routing to a special group, special agent, raise the priority of the interaction so it gets answered faster, or a combination of thereof.
That's pretty cool. Thank you, Roger.
Great. And our fourth tip is to empower your agents. So there's actually been a lot of recent reports that prove more empowered and engaged employees increase both customer experience and ROI. There's actually a report by Gallup that says highly engaged teams achieve on average 10% higher customer satisfaction ratings and bring in 20% more sales revenue than unengaged teams. So Sergey, how do you think companies should empower their agents?
Well, there's many ways, and some of them are within the scope of our software, and some of them are beyond that. But some things that we do, and Bright Pattern Contact Center and Zendesk integration, is we have a special UI that is built into Zendesk, and it's very focused to help agents to access data quickly. We reduce noise with presenting only relevant controls at all times, and we also provide them with feedback on their performance on the fly. And Sean, what do you do in Republic Wireless to empower agents?
So we believe, I guess, that trusting and expecting that our agents will be a part of the solution, not only on their individual interaction, but for all future interactions. So our agents not only are challenged to use our documentation, but they actually improve it and even create it as needed. So there's a lot of training, but after the training and some monitoring, basically all the barriers are removed, and the agent can make real-time contributions to our knowledge base. So this model that we use is called knowledge-centered support. We've been doing this since late last year. We started off with 250 articles written and edited by 2 people who are doing the yeoman's job trying to get that done, but we're up to now 2,500 articles today, written and updated and managed in real time by a little over 100 agents actually working and writing articles. So we feel that if agents are empowered to really make a difference, they're going to be a lot happier, and the members are going to be a lot happier when they have an engaged agent who's actually has a stake in the game. So.
Thank you, Sean. And Roger, I know you have also some training. You mentioned some training angle with TrueSource for Bright Pattern and Zendesk combined system.
Yeah, I mean, our value comes from delivering knowledgeable agents to handle complex technical problems, and we've got to make sure that they have the right tools at their disposal to do that. Bright Pattern with the consistent interface makes the training for the tool really quite simple, so that the agents can concentrate on solving the problem.
Thank you, Roger.
Great, thanks guys. So the fifth tip here is to provide a consistent experience across all channels. Sergey, what are some ways that contact centers can achieve this?
Well, the first and foremost, maintaining a context in form of, for example, here it's in desk tickets, helps with providing consistent experience. And Bright Pattern Contact Center actually helps to access the data fast. So on-desk knowledge base and training materials also help a lot in that regard. And Bright Pattern Contact Center can also help agent training on chat, for example, by presenting agents with bot suggestions during chat conversations. So just a couple of things that we can do. Sean, how do you achieve consistency in Republic Wireless?
So this is something we actually struggle quite a bit with, but KCS has really helped having all of the same documentation used by every single channel that we have. They give the same documentation out. They use the same methods everywhere. There are some places where the mode of discussion may be different, so we don't necessarily want to have the same exact experience because we have our kind of our social greeters and our community moderators, and they may talk a little bit differently publicly with everybody than somebody when it becomes a private one-to-one solution. So we really try and balance that quite a bit. But we're always looking for ways to broaden our channels and yet remain the asynchronous omni-channel supporting that we are today.
Thank you, Sean. Roger, and what's a true source approach on this subject?
Yeah, for us, it really starts with being able to set up the different channels in a consistent manner, be able to track and report on them in a much more consistent manner. Then we can deploy and manage it in a much more consistent manner. And for the agents, that means they have a much more consistent interface to work in, which makes their work at a higher caliber, more accurate, and just easier for them to accomplish.
Thank you, Roger.
Great, and our sixth and final tip is to partner with a flexible vendor that has options for customization. As you all know, implementing an omni-channel strategy can be really hard, and it requires a tight partnership with your vendors. So Emily, do you want to share some unique ways that customers rely on Zendesk in order to provide omni-channel customer support?
Well, we do know that agility and innovation are critical to delivering a differentiated customer experience. So companies need to be able to move fast to adapt to changing customer expectations. So at Zendesk, we deliver customer service best practices and machine learning out of the box, so that our customers are always on the cutting edge of customer experience technology. And the ease of administrating Zendesk means that businesses can add new channels and make adjustments to business rules in real time based on their customer needs. And that empowers customer service teams to do their best work and focus on, what matters, the customer rather than the technology. And then I think, applicable to this webinar, of course, is one of our secret sauces is our open, modern, extensible platform. So businesses can customize Zendesk to your unique needs, and they can embed Zendesk anywhere their customers want to communicate. They can connect Zendesk to key systems like Bright Pattern, for example, and fully customize Zendesk and make it their own with our flexible APIs.
Great, thanks, Emily. And Sergey, what are your thoughts on this tip?
Yeah, Bright Pattern Contact Center and Zendesk combination is extremely flexible and customizable. So starting with custom fields, rules, and the marketplace application in Zendesk to such things as flexible scenarios in Bright Pattern Contact Center, and a lot of out-of-the-box cloud integrations, such as a number of APIs from IBM Watson built into Bright Pattern Contact Center. A lot of cool business case scenarios can be implemented. So, Sean, I know the Republic Wireless screened call-in is one of the pretty cool use cases you mentioned about, but anything else you can add on this subject?
Sure. Actually, work flexibility is one of the prime reasons we chose both Zendesk and Bright Pattern. So with Zendesk, it's always been about the API so that we can do things, custom things that we do because we're different. SDK, so we can integrate with all of our apps. We have various different apps that our customers have. Custom fields, so that we can bring in the information that we want to bring in. triggers so that we can, automatically change things on the fly, and automations as well. So very often when a change happens, so I find that most of my solutions I can find in their marketplace. When there's something new brought to us, I know that the tools that are there in Zendesk can make pretty much anything possible. So I'm usually the least stressed person in a room when there's a new launch or a challenge for support, because I know that there's always a way that we can do it. If something needs to be done, there's always some way that we can make it happen. And then with Bright Pattern, we needed a partner that would help us create, that would work with us to create something. We wanted to take our no call center asynchronous value to phone support and take that to a partner that understood our needs and would deeply integrate with Zendesk and was reliable. So we got that in spades from Bright Pattern. They were even excited to help us. I mean, we weren't going to be doing a call center, and they were excited to work with us on something new and cool. So what resulted was the ability to invite our members to a call right from a ticket. So our agents basically check a checkbox. It puts a macro in place that invites the member to a call, and they call in seamlessly, put in their ticket number, and they're in to a queue to talk to a live agent immediately, any time of day, 24/7. So this had a serious positive impact on our customer satisfaction. We originally tried doing scheduled calls, and basically people missed those calls. We'd do outbound calls and people wouldn't answer. So we went from about a 35% response rate for calls, for request to call, to over 80%. So pretty big change for us, and it was all because we were able to work with a partner that was willing and flexible enough to do what we wanted to do.
Thank you, Sean. Roger, I know that TrueSource is providing omnichannel services flexibly according to the client's business model. Could you share some details on the flexibility?
Yeah, I mean, the Bright Pattern's flexibility definitely helps us with implementing our business model. As I talked about, we have multiple clients within a shared queue or on multiple instances in Zendesk, and the flexibility within Bright Pattern allows us to handle all those multi-channels, do different screen pops, different lookups within the different instances of Zendesk, as well as reuse a lot of the information in the background by using the same scenario to always look up Zendesk information and so on, just by passing parameters back and forth to the different scenarios. It makes a very flexible package within that environment, where if we had to duplicate it out multiple times, it would cause different types of errors and different types of maintenance issues. I think we definitely have a very customized environment in that regard.
Thank you, Roger.
Great. So, I mean, it's pretty clear that technology has a large role in providing support over all the channels consumers are using today. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Sergey to share his screen now and do a quick demonstration of Bright Pattern omnichannel communication for Zendesk.
All right. So can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. We also, yep, there we go.
Yeah. Bright Pattern Contact Center has a built-in UI in Zendesk, and we also have a built-in soft phone for phone conversations. So the UI has a both telephone and text messaging interface. And let me switch to ready. This is the agent interface, and go ahead and contact the organization by chat. So this is an example customer website with a little chat widget. So here I'm using IBM Watson bot, and I'm going to just give a simple response. So it routed this conversation to agent, and it popped the ticket number 228. So now I'm in chat. I have the chat history. But one other thing that happened is before connecting an agent, it actually retrieved the information about the ticket and showed some of that to the customer. So it's possible to do self-service or any kind of prioritization, because we have the data, we know who that person is, and we can process the information they supply. Now, because it's an omni-channel system, and we configure it in such a way that an agent can take a telephone call during a single chat. If they would have more than one chat, they wouldn't be able to, because their capacity will be filled over the required threshold.
If you are calling about a new case, please press 1. Otherwise, please press 2 to enter an existing case number. Please enter your existing case number, followed by the pound. The status of the ticket number 55 in regards to inbound call is open.
So the same agent just received a phone call, as long as the chat, and it's possible. Actually, I have 2 interactions. I have 2 tickets open, and as I mentioned before, when I switch between those interactions, the last open tickets on the UI also changes. One other thing that happens is when I terminated the conversation, and let me go and disposition it. The recording of that conversation is placed into the ticket. And in addition to that, if I terminate the chat conversation, let me go here. Both the disposition and the chat transcript actually appears on the ticket as well, along with the link to access of the whole history in Brightpattern Contact Center. Moreover, after each of those conversations, we can collect the surveys, and those surveys, we collect 3 most important questions: is whether the service was provided, whether they received the help they wanted, how helpful was the representative, and what's the overall feeling about the company. And you could receive the transcript. The same thing is possible to do over other channels as well, and we keep this available across the channels. Now, it's also possible to go and access all of that information through reporting UI, and that could be scheduled reports that we provide out of the box, or it could be any reporting tool, such as, for example, an Amazon QuickSight that I'm using right now to access the data. So I can go and take my agent handle time and, for example, go and slice it by media type and see how much time I spend in my demo environment across a specific channel. I can also go and put it by request category, and, for example, go and focus on things like show only chat. So it's end-to-end, and it's multi-channel, and you can get business insight on where your agent time is spent, starting with the media and going into a request category. So that said, I'm done with the demo, and Shelby, please.
Yeah, if you want to stop sharing my screen, I can get back to the slides. And next up, we can go through some Q&A. It looks like we did get some Q&A from the audience. And as we go through some of these questions, you can feel free to submit more through the Zoom panel. But the first question I have here, one of the attendees is wondering, what are some newer emerging channels in the contact center space? Sergey, do you want to start off by answering that?
Well, The most volatile part of the channels is messaging apps. They appear and disappear. They become very popular or not. But in reality, all the channels, the omni-channel contact center is just a smartphone for organizations. So any channel you can think of that you use to communicate with your friends and family on your smartphone is something that has to be supported by a contact center. So that said, the perennial channels would be voice, SMS, and web chat, and they're here to stay. And the most volatility will be in messaging apps, I think. Shelby?
Okay, great. And maybe to our customers, Sean, are there any new channels that you're planning on adding in, or were there any recently?
We've recently added the ability to do SMS, since we are a cellular company. So we've been doing tests for a long time, giving members the ability to dial 611, which is originally for calling your carrier. We actually allow them to text to 611 and ask questions, or in fact, it connects with our chat and allows them to talk. But I would say also, I would agree that with Sergey that messaging, we're constantly asked for different messaging apps. So from Facebook Messenger, but pretty much anytime, think of any of the different social tools or any of those tools that are out there. If there's a private conversation going on, that's kind of a one-to-one discussion. Those one-to-one discussions for us need to be something that we can API and connect into our systems. We need to, one, be able to validate that the person we're talking to is actually authorized to talk to us or to work on their account. So there's the security side of that. But once all of that's satisfied, getting them in and getting it memorialized into a ticket so that we can keep track of everything that's going on and make it part of our omni-channel, that's the social tools that we'll look at. And then, of course, demand.
Great, thanks, Sean. And Roger, you work with a lot of really innovative customers. The end users are pretty demanding with their channels, it seems like. Are they asking for any specific channels that are kind of new to your contact center?
I'd say that agree with Sergey that the messaging and social media in general is escalating more in tech support, more as a tech support thing, where it used to be more of just a customer care thing, where now more tech support is occurring over the different social media channels. And SMS is a growing channel as well.
Great. Okay, the next question we have, how do you see AI and bots changing the omni-channel landscape? I'll kick that over to Sergey as well.
So first of all, there's a couple of applications of AI. The first would be the natural language understanding, and that really helps in chat channels and any kind of text messaging channels. And the reason being that we move from IVR approach when you present the options and then let customer choose, and we just ask them, what would you like to do? And try to understand what they want. And this gives much better picture on what customers are actually caring about, not trying to divine this kind of thing. And the second approach is, as Emily mentioned, the bots that go and run through the knowledge base and present the articles that are fitting to what a customer just asked about. That's also pretty huge. Shelby?
Okay, great. And I mean, are any of our Bright Pattern customers currently using these technologies? And if so, can you let me know, is there like specific industries that are more prone to use it, or specific like company size? Is it only the bigger enterprise companies that are using this type of technology?
Well, we integrate with a number of bots, and the simplest to start with would be probably IBM Watson Assistant, formerly Conversations. It's a pretty easy interface to draw your own bots and also see what customers are asking it, and that's pretty easy to start with. It's not very expensive. It provides sentiment analysis also out of the box.
Shelby, we have a pretty exciting use case at Zendesk with our AI answer bot. One of our customers, Dollar Shave Club, a subscription-based grooming solution, they've used AnswerBot to to relieve their agents of some of the more basic repetitive tasks that took up a disproportionate amount of time. So that's been a really exciting use case. They've seen since they implemented AnswerBot in the fall, about over almost 5,000 average monthly tickets have been solved by AnswerBot, which, as Sergey mentioned, kind of will comb through the knowledge base to present the most applicable answer for customers. And they've seen a 9-minute average full resolution time for AnswerBot. So in the same theme of really empowering agents to focus on, those higher complexity solutions, AnswerBot has helped companies like Dollar Shave Club to help their agents be more effective in other channels.
Very cool. That's a great use case. And it kind of ties back to one of our tips of empowering agents as well. I mean, when you put that bot as handling some of the easier interactions, it allows agents to kind of work through some of the tougher use cases, and they usually feel a lot more engaged in doing so.
Yeah. Yep. They definitely are seeing as one of their biggest benefits of AnswerBot is just the increased bandwidth of their support agents, like you said, to work on tasks that feel more worthy of their time. So, yeah.
Great. That's very cool. So the next question I have is aimed more towards Bright Pattern's Omnichannel software. They're asking if you can switch between channels. Sergey?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at any time you on the chat, you can start a telephone call, or you could even switch chat channels, such as going on web chat. You can go and switch to SMS, for example, if a customer has to go and you want to continue conversation. And in the same way, if you're talking and you're entering, boarding a train, you really don't want to continue the conversation, you could do the same thing, switch to chat. So it's absolutely possible.
Great, that's good to know. And I mean, even going off of some of the AI and bot questioning here, is it easy to escalate from a bot to an agent as well?
Yeah, and we do it. Actually, what happened in my demo, it's the first it was handled by bot, and then it passed the conversation to agent.
Mm-hmm. Great. Another attendee is asking if we can speak a little bit on reporting best practices, just because I'm assuming they're wanting to know with Omnichannel, does that make it more difficult to report? Kind of how do you guys recommend reporting around Omnichannel?
Well, there are some things that are definitely important across channels. So, for example, how much time agents spend on a specific issue. This is pretty much same across all of the channels. But trying to, for example, focus on handle time and try to compare handle time of email with handle time of a telephone call, that's probably not appropriate. So it makes sense to separate those. Shall we?
Mm-hmm. Great. So I have a couple of questions. These ones are aimed more towards Sean and Roger, our customers, and kind of how they're actually putting this technology to use. So the question is, do you separate your agents by channel? And for that one, we can start with Sean.
A little bit. I could say definitively a little bit. Sometimes more by skill. So not every agent has the chat skill. We'd like to memorialize everything we can into tickets, so they're all working pretty much from the same place. But we also have our social team, which is usually greeting, and then they use a different tool to push everything in, once again, to tickets when it becomes more private conversations, and the same thing with community and other things. So while we have different groups that specialize in different areas, in the end, when it becomes a private conversation that talks about real account information or calling information with CP&I, pretty much gets back down to the same team. We try and funnel it to the same team that's able to solve the problem.
Great. And Roger, how about at TrueSource?
At TrueSource, we do it both ways, depending on, if there's on the smaller groups, the Omnichannel allows us to be more nimble and basically require less resources to handle the same amount of volume. by kind of keeping them all in one queue, so to speak, so they can switch back and forth between chat or voice call or SMS. Even the larger groups where the volume might dictate that you want to dedicate resources to chat, we would still maybe only dedicate 80 to 90% of the resources required for chat, and then use the Omnichannel to fill it out so we can get the best occupancy between the agents as well as the client and then the business.
Mm-hmm. Great. And this last question is for you guys as well. It's, can you expand on how you train agents for Omnichannel? Sean, do you want to explain a little bit? Is it different than maybe if you weren't using Omnichannel?
Yes, of course, it's different. Different as far, especially with chat and social, where you may have a shorter. It's a very different kind of response, maybe in shorter, shorter bits of information. When you're responding in a ticket or an email, you can write more in longer form. So we feel that the training in short form communication, training in understanding and being able to convey your understanding through that. We've had way too many times where we're accused of being bots and we're not, when we over format and when we utilize too many macros. So we spend our time really writing out answers, and in doing that, we really have to train and make sure that everybody's good at writing, of course, for KCS and all that. So everybody's articulate, but we also have to make sure that it's human and real, and it's different for every channel that you work in as to how you can communicate in that channel, or how you should communicate in that channel. So we train for that extensively.
Great. Thanks, Sean. And Roger, how do you train a true source?
I think very similar in that regard. There's training that's kind of specific to the handling, specific to the channel as far as communication styles, how you ask questions, how you follow up, paying attention to the answers from a chat question versus how you follow up on an answer from a voice call, for instance. Training wise on the tool, since the interface is very consistent, that makes that part of the training pretty seamless.
Great. Great. Well, that's all the questions we have. Sean and Roger, I want to go ahead and thank you for sharing those unique use cases with us today. And Sergey and Emily, thanks for providing your expert point of views on these tips.
Thanks, Shelby. Thanks, Sean, Roger.
Yep.
Everybody.
Yep. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.